Welcome back to part two of the NBA preview. We have another illustrious guest, Ryan Depinto, to discuss some NBA, which starts tomorrow. Ryan, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no problem, man. Excited to be here to talk about the NBA.
All right. So, first order of business is the biggest contract in NBA history. Giannis, 5 years, 228 million. Your thoughts?
Yeah, personally, I think this is great for the NBA. I just think stars leaving small franchises like Milwaukee and obviously what happened with like Anthony Davis is never ideal for the NBA, just in the sense that like you don't want to have just four or five teams that are always the top of the league and competitive. So I think it's just great that he's staying in that sense. Um, and just everything Milwaukee's done so far this offseason to kind of build around Giannis, I think it'll end up being pretty good long term and make for an exciting race in the East again. So
I agree with that. It shows kind of his character that he's willing to stay there and fight it out. And they're still going to be a huge threat in the East. Obviously, other players kind of doing the opposite. James Harden basically asking out of Houston, not showing up for training camp, coming in overweight. And it's just kind of all over the place.
yeah, yeah, he's been having a different type of off season. I saw that picture of him looking a little chunk, to say the least. I don't know. We'll see. I think he needs to get moved. I think it'll be best for Houston
Mm-hmm.
just to get him out of there, because it's just never good to have someone who clearly doesn't want to be with the organization just kind of dragging everyone else's mood down. And
Right.
I think it's time. They're not going to win the title this year with him or without him.
Well,
So it's
half
kind
of
of
it
just
doesn't include James Harden. So, and it's one thing because he's so ball dominant. It's tough, very tough to build around him. Also, so I can see them adding like different pieces to help them grow.
yeah. And I mean, I don't know from the Sixers end, but I think just Ben Simmons straight up for James Harden is the best thing they're going to find, and I think that would be great for them, honestly. Obviously, Harden's a better player right now, but I just think getting a player locked in on their rookie deal, who's going to sign his extension, obviously, for the next 4 years, just because all players do that, so they don't
Right.
go to like non-restricted free agency. I just think that'd be great and like build around a young player, add shooters, something that the Sixers obviously haven't done just because they've had Simmons as well. I mean, Embiid as well. So I just think that could be good for them, and kind of they wouldn't have to fall too far in the long term. They'd obviously be worse off this year and next year losing Harden, but I think they could bounce back quick.
I think their ceiling could be higher long term with Simmons and Harden. Um, so speaking of the some trades, we had the Westbrook trade. Who do you and the Beal trade? Obviously the same trade. Who do you think makes that better, Washington or Houston in that trade?
I think for next year, I think the Wizards will actually be pretty competitive in the East. Obviously, I don't think they're going to make the finals or anything like that, but I think they'll be like a 6 or 7 seed. Having Westbrook and Beal just in the East, it's not that deep. So if you have two top 20 players, top 25 players, wherever you want to put Westbrook, obviously Beal's in that category. Um, I think you're going to be competitive. I like what they did. Their rookie, Denny Avdia, that they drafted. He's been pretty solid so far in preseason. So I mean, they've got some pieces. So I think they'll make out better. Although I don't hate it for the Rockets in the sense that like they did get a pick back. I think their contracts end in similar years. I mean, they're both on monstrous deals, Wall and Westbrook, but I think I think they both just needed a change of scenery. So I think it could be good for both of them.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out. We'll stay in the East. Obviously, the team everyone has their eye on is the Brooklyn Nets. How do you think it works out? Can KD and Kyrie coexist? And how do you think the Nets will do this year?
Yeah, I'm a Knicks fan, so I might be a Kyrie. There we go. I might be a Nets hater, but I'm not. I don't view them as a serious title contender. I think they're gonna. I mean, if KD comes back and is 90% of himself, I think he's gonna be unstoppable like usual. But I just don't see their roster winning four playoff rounds. Like I don't see them winning four playoff series, and I don't know. I just don't see Kyrie being the piece that they need around Durant. I think it's a lot of nice pieces, but I don't see them being great on D. I think it's a lot to ask of Durant to kind of
Or
come
done?
back and be peak uh, Durant defensively at least. And then you have DeAndre Jordan, Irving. It's like I don't know.
who's their
who's
really
really going to be.
yeah. Then you look to like Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie. Like, are they?
Yeah, they're great players. Like they're great pieces and young, but I just don't think that they're like a championship roster right now. But I mean, if Katie comes back and is clicking and Kyrie's locked in, they can make me look wrong on that. But I mean, I'm more in the let's see at the first 30 games and then I'll buy in before I'm just going to be someone who's like, yeah, they're the favorite in the East. I don't feel that way right now.
Yeah, it's definitely a different take. You're probably one of the few people who's short on the Nets right now, but I like it because it's not like what you hear from everyone saying like the Nets are coming out of the East. So I like that you have a different take.
Yeah. And once again, it's not like I'm saying they're going to be like the 7 seed. They're going to be bad. I think they're going to be
Top 3 seed.
solid. I just don't think. I think there's going to be growing pains. I think Katie's going to need to take time. He's not going to come in and be playing 35 minutes a game. So it's like, and then Kyrie, he's had his own injury problems, along with being a psychopath. So
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. I like their young pieces. I mean, I like their team. I like their coach. Like I like LeVert. I like Dinwiddie.
Growing pains there. The first year coach, but yeah, I like Kenny Atkinson, but obviously we'll see how that goes. We'll move on across the subway to our team, the New York Knicks. A lot of young pieces, no real stars, but I really like the coach Thibodeau, defensive minded, like hardworking, hustle mindset. So I think that's kind of what they need right now.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, but
think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Keep going. No, you keep going.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say like from what we've seen in the preseason, Manuel Quickley's done really well. They're talking about him starting. Obviously, I have Austin Rivers, Frank Ntilikina, probably my favorite player on the team, but I could see him backing up quickly. A lot of forwards between like Toppin, Robinson, Randall, all these forwards. It's going to be interesting to see how Thibodeau works out the minutes and the matchups. But who are you expecting to break out this year, the young crew?
Personally, I'm still a Frank believer as well. I love Frank Ntilikina. I think he's in the wrong situation here. He's not. Right. I think he's a point guard still, but I just don't think he's create your offense for 25 minutes a game point guard right now. I think he'd fit really well, honestly, in like that Drew Holiday role that he can bring the ball up. He can create some offense, but you're not relying on him. He can shoot off ball, lock down D, that kind of thing. But I think Mitch Robinson is going to be a beast. I hope Tibbs plays him and he starts. But even if he's coming off the bench and they start like Nerlens Noel or I don't know if Randall at the 5 or what they're planning on doing, but I think him and then I'm hoping for RJ to take another step, but I don't know. We'll see. He's looked hot and cold this preseason, but I think Mitchell Robinson's a freak athletically, and I just think he can. Yeah. He's not going to be one of those guys where you're like, oh shit, he's putting up 22 and 10. He's a superstar in that sense, but I think he's going to be like a kind of like Bam Adebayo, kind of snuck up on people in the playoffs in the sense that like he was doing everything on D. He could switch every position, guard everyone, and then he's running to the rim, doing that stuff. I think Mitch will be like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think he can almost defend like 4 or 5 positions with his speed.
Just needs a little more muscle. He can get switched onto any guard, and he's not going to guard Steph Curry, but if he gets switched onto him, he's not going to be
not a problem.
He's not going to be on skates immediately. Right. He could hold it for the last 5 seconds of the shot clock.
Yeah. So I really hope they go like start Robinson and back up with Obi, and then Nerlens mix it up. But
what do you think of Obi so far?
I mean, I wasn't sure when we drafted him. People have been high and low on him. So obviously there's some questions defensively, but I think offensively and athletically is a lot of potential. So we'll see.
Offensively, I feel I've liked what I didn't like the pick initially. I didn't hate it, but I was a Killian Hayes guy coming in, and obviously I went to LaMelo, but I knew we weren't going to be in that quite range. And Toppin, I was kind of like struggling with his defense. Just like I was like, I don't know if he played championship level defense, but then I thought about like him next to Mitch is actually a good fit long term, and we already have a bunch of I don't know, like frank defensive minded players. It's almost like someone who could just go get a bucket like Obi and kind of like spark the offense is honestly kind of what they needed. So I'm cautiously optimistic for him now.
Yeah, I think whether they like it or not, they're going to be playing a lot of defense this year under Thibodeau either way. So everyone's going to be like forced to take another step defensively just because like they won't play if they're not trying hard on defense.
I think that's a perfect coach for him, honestly. For
Yeah,
Obi, like coming in with that, like that's he's not going to be able to skate by or he'll get pulled. If he wants to play, he's going to need to
gotta
be.
earn your minutes type of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
So I think in terms of the Twitter world, like the starting five, everyone wants in terms of Nick's Twitter is like Quickly, Barrett, um, I would say Mitch, and then
Obi.
Obi, yeah, and then the five could go a few different ways. But I like that. I think Quickly's proving himself. I don't know if he's like 100% earned it in like 3 games, but I think he's earned certainly backup minutes and significant minutes. So we'll see. Um, Obviously, you know, the our ceiling is probably like an 8 seed, and even that's a stretch because we don't have like those 2 stars like the
Yeah.
Lakers and the Nets have. But we'll see. I'm definitely excited for the season either way.
Yeah. I think we're definitely gonna. I don't see a playoff run personally, but I mean, obviously, I would hope. I mean, in the East, it's not saying much to
Right.
win. You could be under 500 and be the 7th seed, so it's not like they couldn't do that. But I see them being kind of like a bottom 6 or 7 team in the league this year, and then but in a more exciting way in the sense that like you got some young guys hopefully getting some bulk of the minutes. They're playing exciting. Obi's got some highlights. RJ takes another step. Frank's looking like himself. Mitch is playing well, and then from there you get another star. This next draft coming up is pretty stacked. So to get one more draft like that, and then I think then they'll be in the playoff push kind of, and then they'll have cap space. So I think this is like the last year of like the kind of tortured. If they do it right, this could be the last year of like tortured bottom 5 team in the league. But it'll be more exciting and less kind of like we're in purgatory with like big contracts of players who are average. It's more like we're bad because we're playing young players. So I mean that'll at least be exciting for Knicks fans.
Yeah, I just like to see them be scrappy, stay in games, and
100%. Yeah.
be like exciting to watch. It's really all you could ask for as a Knicks fan at this point. So even if there's feelings like 35 wins, I think you can watch games differently depending if like they're staying in them late and fighting.
Yeah. I'm pulling up their depth chart. I want to see. Yeah. Let me see.
I'll pull it up too.
Yeah. Because I Quigley's getting a lot of minutes
Mhm.
because of Elford being out, and
Right.
yeah, I would personally, I think just going with like the young players, like if this is the starting, this is kind of the five I want to see would be Barrett, Quigley, Barrett. I'll put Knox in there for now, Obi and Mitch, and
Yeah.
then have Frank kind of in and out with Quigley based off who's hot. And that's kind of the five of like, all right, let's see what the young guys kind of have, and then you supplement in. Obviously, that's not going to be actually what starts. I'm sure
They'll be in the
Tibbs
rotation.
is going to want some older guys like Rivers and
Randall.
Alec Burks, yeah, Evan Randall, like those kind of guys. Noel, he's been proven on defense. So,
Right. Yeah, I think Knox is kind of a prove it year for him. Um,
oh, big time, big
he,
time.
I think he has a really good ceiling, and he's shown in the preseason that he can hit like the corner three. So I don't know if that's his role long term because he had like such high ceiling coming out of Kentucky in college. So we'll
Just
see.
shoot the ball well and then let everything build off there. Like if you can be an off ball shooter and for how long he is, and his defense hasn't been great, but it's like if he tries on D, he's long. He fits the 3 and D mold if he can shoot, but he's just shot so poorly in the past. It's like it's tough. It's like let's just get that going, and then from there, build on like
There.
creation and that other stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I think it would be interesting to see him play 3 and D because that wasn't what we were expecting initially, but it's still so valuable in the NBA. Like I wouldn't hate that all for him because there'll be a spot for him always playing consistent 3 and D.
Yeah, if you could shoot 35, 36% from three, which isn't even great. That's like probably I think league average.
Right.
And you're as long as he is and try and D and you hit the boards,
Yeah,
make a couple blocks and steals. Like you have a place in the NBA, so
definitely.
hopefully for his sake he'll do that. He's also still pretty young, so I don't want to give up on him completely, but this is definitely a make or break year.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm pulling for everyone, pulling for him, all the boys. But we'll move on to the draft. Obviously, Lamelo is kind of even though he's went third, kind of the favorite right now for Rookie of the Year. He's looked really impressive with some of the passing in the preseason. Dropped some really like great court awareness, like no look passes, interesting passes. What did you think of the draft overall, and who are you looking to for rookie of the year? Who are you looking at?
Yeah, let me pull it up.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled up the odds. So I was my two guys coming into the drafts were LaMelo and Killian Hayes, and that's who I would say I have singled out. I know LaMelo is kind of the kind of the favorite for rookie of the year, so that's not saying too much. But I just really he was the one player in the draft that I think had like the ceiling of like top 10 player in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Just with his passing IQ is so high, and the stuff he does you can't teach. So I just feel at that size, and I'm not as worried about the shot as other people are. I mean, we'll see how that develops, but I'd say him, and then the one sleeper guy who I like Killian Hayes. I think he's going to come right in for the Pistons and be their lead guard and kind of get maybe not start, but he'll have minutes and kind of be able to run the offense through him. So that's kind of someone lower on the rookie of the year odds, or I would assume that would at least for me pop out.
Yeah, I think especially in the Pistons, will have a lot of opportunity, so that can't hurt. And that's kind of the biggest thing with rookie of the year: how much are you able to play and showcase your ability? People were talking about Toppin as like an outside choice, and I just don't know if we'll get enough minutes comparatively.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Coming off the reigning defensive player of the year and MVP, obviously Giannis. Who are you looking at for defensive player of the year this year? Assuming they won't go back to Giannis.
Yeah. So obviously Anthony Davis is always in that conversation, and I think he could definitely win it this year. But I think just for a lot of the awards, like we'll talk about, like with the Lakers, I think LeBron and AD kind of monopolize each other. I mean, he could still win DPOY, but I think one person lower down that people probably aren't thinking about is Ben Simmons, who we already talked about.
Right.
But his defense is just crazy. That's someone who legitimately switches 1 through 5. Like he'll guard point guards, he can bang with centers. I think he led the league in steals as a 6'10" point forward. Like that's not supposed to happen. And he's blocking shots. So that's someone who I think I saw that Joel Embiid has like a better chance of winning, or better odds, or like is higher up on the people's odds to win Defensive Player of the Year. So I think that's someone right down a little bit lower on the totem pole that could definitely win Defensive Player of the Year, and I'm very high on.
I like that a lot. I think he's I don't know if he's underrated defensively, but I don't know if
I think he is. Yeah, people like they know he's solid, but like I think he's like top 5 in the league. Like just for the versatility.
Yeah, I don't know if you listened to JJ Redick's podcast, but he was talking about like a huge snub, and the best defender of guards was like we talked about, Drew Holiday.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I think he didn't even make the all defensive team last year. So I think he'll get his recognition this year. And like Lillard was saying, it's like the toughest matchup for him is Drew Holiday. So
I believe it. Yeah. No, I think that was a big pickup for I think the Bucks. I mean, we'll talk about it later about like who's going to come out of the East, but I think that was a big pickup for them, just for everything he'll do. He's just such an upgrade over Eric Bledsoe.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm an Eric Bledsoe fan, but I just think Drew Holiday fits in perfectly.
Yeah, it's I think more of what the Bucks need right now is a defensive-minded player. So
yeah, 100%.
All right, so let's and then MVP. Let me pull up the MVP odds real quick. But is there anyone that jumps out to you right away, other than like LeBron, Giannis?
Let me pull it up too. I was looking at it earlier. So for me,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm still pulling this up. Sorry about this.
The person that came to mind right away was Luka, and on this site he's actually favored at plus 400. So that's not a bad bet. Obviously, when you're all-star your rookie year, and then you have an amazing year your second year, obviously that's where kind of the expectations go. So I could see him being like top 3 in MVP voting.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. Yeah, I have Luka at plus 400 too. I would definitely. So the 3 people I think I would take is, so I think it could be Luka, obviously. I think Giannis, obviously, he's going to put up the same numbers. So It's like, I think voter fatigue is obviously a real thing. They're not going to want to give it to him. So, I mean, if he puts up those same numbers and no one else puts up numbers and they win the East again, it's going to be hard not to give it to him. So that's something you could you could go with. I think LeBron and AD are it's just so tough because they're going to be minutes restrictions.
Yeah, they take away from each other's stats, like you were saying.
Yeah, they're not going to be putting up as much stats because of that. But I'll give one sleeper that I think, Dame Lillard plus 1600. I just think I think the Trailblazers could be a top 3 team in the West, and it's like people would think maybe give it to Steph or like pick Steph. I just don't think the Warriors are going to be a top 5 team in the West. So it's like hard to win MVP. I mean, I know Russ did it that one year when he averaged a triple double and they were like the 5th or 6th seed in the West. But it's like I think the Trailblazers could be up there, and Lillard's just going to put up crazy numbers. And obviously McCollum's on the team, but it's not like he's going to cut into his like minutes or like stats. So I think that's one person. Obviously, I like Luka. I think he could win it. I think Giannis could. I think LeBron could. But if you're going to go with someone kind of off the beaten path, I think Dame would be a good pick.
Yeah, he's constantly getting slept on as like a top, at least a top 5 guard in the league.
Yeah.
Definitely like a Dame fan, and hopefully takes another solid step forward. For me, it's tough to look past KD as long as he's healthy, because like one of the maybe the best scorers ever. So if he stays healthy, I like KD in the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, if he's normal KD and they're a top 4 seed in the East, I think he 100% can win it. My only slip up with him and like LeBron and AD, it's kind of the same thing. It's just like how much are they going to be taking the regular season like 100% serious? Like Luka's going to be going for MVP. He's going to be putting up numbers. They need him to score. Dame, they need him to score. Giannis, they need him. Like I could see like Durant being an older-ish player coming off a big injury and kind of taking a night off on a back-to-back, stuff like that, which just like it doesn't affect how good he is, but it's harder to win MVP that way. But if he's playing every game, playing how he used to play, obviously he's going to be right up there.
All right, since we focus on the East, we're going to bounce out to the West. Obviously, the Lakers heavily favored. There's a lot of good teams out there. Look at the Mavs, like we talked about. Clippers, I think they take a step forward this year. I think not that last year was a fluke, but I don't think like you're going to see that again from Paul George necessarily. I think he's a better player than he showed. Obviously, everyone was making fun of him and like pandemic and all this stuff, but I think the Clippers will be in contention. Blazers, like we said, some other teams that are flying under the radar in the West.
Yeah. Personally, I think the Lakers are kind of just going to take over again. I just think they improved so much off an already championship roster. So, I mean, if I'm picking someone right now, it's not hard for me. It's Lakers. But after you get through that, I actually think that the Nuggets would be the team I would like the most. I just don't – I don't think I agree with you on Paul George. I don't think he played – I think you give him not a pass, but like I'm not writing him off as a top 30 player because of that. Like he was 3rd in MVP voting 2 years ago. He's not like an awful player.
No, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like he's not going to play that bad.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's not going to be like that. But I don't like how their roster fits really. I think they have the same problem. They didn't get a point guard. Pat Beverly is a good point guard, but he's not creating offense, and that was the main problem. Kawhi, if it wasn't Kawhi, and Paul George isn't really. I mean, maybe he can get back to that, but he's not necessarily going to want to create offense in those crunch moments. It's kind of tough to not have a point guard. And if Kawhi doesn't want to be the one to do it. So I think the Nuggets just fit well. They are going to take another step. Jamal Murray took another step forward. Nikola Jokic is the best big in the league, in my opinion. Just everything he does, passing at that size. And then if Michael Porter Jr. can take another like half step forward with what he did in the bubble, I think they're role players that fit around them I think they could. That's a team that the Lakers that could potentially beat the Lakers if I had to pick one.
Yeah. I think Jokic and Murray are maybe a top 3 or 4 duo in the league, and no one really sees that right now. So I think
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know who I would take over them besides LeBron and AD. I'd rather have those two than.
What about KD and Kyrie? Would you take?
Nah, I obviously think KD.
So I definitely get where you're saying.
Yeah, I'm very down on Kyrie, so that's just I might be a little biased on that, but I'd take those two over that.
Yeah.
just because Kyrie is just I don't know. He's a liability on defense, and we'll see what he can do. And both of them have injury histories. I mean, they're obviously a very good duo, but I'm very high on Murray and Jokic, along with that whole team.
And they proved it. They showed it in the bubble. They had Murray had like several 50-point games in one series, and
Against what was
the
it?
Donovan Mitchell's team, the Jazz.
Yeah. It was against the Jazz. That was a crazy series.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I think that's a team that I'd watch out for. I mean, if I had to place a bet right now, I think I'm still taking the Lakers, even with the juice, like even with them being the heavy favorite, like I would take them. But if I had to pick one other team, it's like, then you go through it. I'm pulling up who. So people, it's the Lakers and Clippers. I'm not in on the Clippers necessarily. I think they'll be better than they showed in the play, but I'm not in on them being any significantly better. Then it's the Nuggets, who I like, the Mavericks, who I think that's a little early for them. I mean, Luke is obviously insane. I think could win MVP and is a good pick, but I don't really see them making that jump to like winning the West just yet. And then after that, it's teams like the Trailblazers, who I like, but I don't know. I think they're more of a regular season team. And then it's like Warriors, Jazz, and I'm not ready to pick any of those teams over the Lakers. So I think the Nuggets are definitely my second favorite team in the West.
I like that. That's a good pick. And then we'll throw it back to the East. Obviously, Jimmy Butler in Miami, really impressed. Some people are short on them, saying it was like a matter of circumstance with the bubble and all that. How are you on the Heat?
On the East?
On the Heat.
Oh, the Heat. I think they'll be. I don't know. The Heat have been giving me some trouble as I'm getting ready. Part of me is like, you know what? I think that's the team that's going to win the East again. And like, why would we go away from them? They didn't lose anyone to my knowledge. That was
Nothing
important.
significant. Yeah.
And they brought in Precious Akaru from Memphis in the draft, who's another scrappy player who fits in with them. I think they signed one or two other guys who could help out. So I think they're going to be solid again. If I had to pick another team, I want to pick the Bucks to like.
Right.
I want to say the Bucks, but my thing is like I love the fit of Drew Holiday with them now.
Yeah.
But I think they have the same problem in the playoffs in the sense that like Drew's a great fit, he's an upgrade, but is that the guy who's going to be creating offense for you? Because Giannis, when they wall him off in the playoffs, you don't want to have Giannis doing everything. So it's like now it's Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton creating all your offense, and it's like I like those players, but it's like I don't think they solved their major issue in that sense. So it's like they took another step forward, but they have the same structural problem in the sense that like they need someone who can almost like a Jimmy Butler or a Luka, but obviously it's hard to get or James Harden type of player that can create offense for Giannis.
Yeah.
And make things easier for him.
Right. If you ask me right now, I think my pick to come out of these would be the Celtics after they were so close to beating the Heat. Tatum Adebayo dunk. I think they have a complete team, maybe the best coach in the league, and I could really see the Celtics coming through. Where are you in the Celtics?
I liked what they did. I like that they brought in Tristan Thompson. I think that's a good fit for them. Tatum is obviously a great young player with Brown and Smart. I just struggle a little bit with where they're going to take that next step and kind of just on-ball creation and stuff like that. But I think they could. I think for me, if I had to just looking at these odds right now, the Sixers are plus 800 as the fifth favorite to win the East. And I think they're going to trade for, obviously, for James Harden. If you swap Harden for Simmons, and even though I'm high on Simmons, I just think Harden fits way better with Embiid.
Like for this,
I think, for this year, I think they could win the East if I had to pick like a kind of a sleeper team. Not that they're like a giant sleeper team, but I love everything they did, bringing in shooters in the offseason. They got Steph Curry. I love that they drafted Tyrese Maxey. He's been balling this preseason. He can kind of just get his own shot, floaters, that kind of stuff. They also brought in one or two other shooters. I liked the moves they made. So I think that's a team that can make a little bit of noise.
Definitely. Before we go too much further, I can only record for 30 minutes. We're just going to take a quick pause and come right back.
Perfect.
All right. Good stuff. I'll throw it right back on.
Perfect.
All right. Ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, we were just talking about the Sixers and how we felt about their preseason. You're talking about their draft pick and that they're plus 800 right now. So that I think to get them before they trade for Harden would obviously affect the odds. So that could be a good thing to get in now. Sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's a team with Doc now and Morey. That's just a kind of an organization I trust. And obviously, Embiid's health always gives me a little bit of pause, but
Mhm.
he's been, for the most part, honestly pretty healthy the last couple seasons. So I just think him and Harden would be the clear best duo in the East, and with the shooters around them. And I like that they brought in Dwight Howard too, just another solid body. He was super helpful for the Lakers. So I just think they're a team that I kind of buy into a little bit more, and I think they'd match up really well with the Bucks if they did have to face them.
Yeah, so it sounds like a four-horse race between the Heat, the Bucks, the Celtics, and the Sixers. Kind of checks out. Obviously, the Nets are going to be in there too. So
Yeah, and then it's like team. Then after that, it's like teams like the Raptors, kind of maybe like the Hawks, Wizards. But that's like I don't know those teams I could see actually. Those are solid playoff teams, but I don't think they have
not a threat
like
out of the East.
NBA Finals expectations right now.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's going to be really hard to stop the Lakers. I think that's the name of the game. We'll see. I'm hoping someone does it, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be very.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna win last year. They won, and now their rosters just looks. I mean, obviously it's on paper right now, but it looks just noticeably better. Schroeder, Harrell, another year of Caruso growing, Kuzma growing. I just think they're gonna be a wagon,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah. So only one more day, and then we get the shit started. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'd love to have you on again for the playoffs, for the finals. But thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. This was fun. I'm excited. Yeah, what are the games tomorrow? It's the Nets and Warriors, and then who else is it?
I will check.
Oh yes, as the Lakers are playing, right?
I'm assuming, yeah, I would guess. Um, you might be
Yeah.
interested in this. We have a huge guest tomorrow. See if you can guess who it is. It's a 2008, 2012 Olympian in the 800 and 1500.
Nick Simmons,
No, very close. He's a Oregon graduate. He's very tall, charismatic.
Andrew Weeding.
Yeah,
Oh, there we go.
yeah, pretty cool.
All right, almost as big as me. So, well,
Yeah, yeah,
you got the big guest out of the way today, and then we'll
yeah,
a pretty big guest tomorrow. So that'll be good.
yeah. That'll be fun. So we're gonna throw this up on YouTube. You were with Elijah Taylor from the running school.
Oh yeah.
So he was like part one, part two NBA
Oh,
preview.
perfect. Yeah, I'd love to come back on maybe a month in. We can talk a little bit more about what's going on so far. So
Got two solid NBA analysts on the team, so I'm very happy with that.
perfect.
All right, thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Catch you later.
Peace.
Thank you guys for listening. All right, good stuff.
All right, yeah, that was fun.